Hello, my lovely, inspiring human potential community. In this universal love energy transmission session, we will be clearing charged emotional and mental patterns around making amends. And just a brief intro for new listeners and viewers, and also a reminder every time we go through these transmission sessions, what we're trying to do and achieve. Being able to bring inner harmony and pursue inner growth as a constant mindset journey and lifestyle approach. It supports your higher human consciousness potential, your higher heart, mind, and body frequency to achieve 5D and beyond, enlightenment, vibration, and state of consciousness, self-empowerment as a functional adult who engages in a ventral vagal state from your body, and all other personal development aspects and topics that we discuss on the podcast episodes, which support bringing about the expanded and fulfilled version of your true, authentic self from within, the transformational leader that you can be in your life and beyond. Now, as an energy healer, during this session, I will be channeling universal love energy through me into you. If you are open and receptive to this universal love energy, which is always sent for your highest and best good, that will be channeled through me into you, give your consent, state aloud or in your mind, yes, that you are open and receptive. I am now connected to you energetically. And please take a moment to clear your mind from any chatter and bring your body, heart, and mind to a state of ease. As we have learned in the podcast, and as I will reiterate this, by the way, in every one of these lovely sessions, so regular listeners expect to hear a couple of parts. Once I get familiar with YouTube, I'll make sure to do the sections, and that way you can skip forward. But in the meantime, we're getting into rhythm, and rhythm is that pattern that we're going to want to bring to our breathing. Rhythmic breathing, as we've learned, helps our nervous system, our mind, to go at ease. So pay attention to your breath for a minute. Allow yourself to achieve the tempo that brings your body a state of relaxation. Do natural breath, or if you're wanting to do the rhythmic, it's simply an example, 5 seconds inhaling, 6 or 7 seconds exhaling. That inhale is activating the sympathetic nervous system. The exhale is activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So these allow you a sense of ease, the rhythmic pattern. Now take a few minutes to focus in on your heart as well, and the breath. Allow unconditional love, a feeling of compassion to arise, something that is soothing. It is in this state that your mind, heart, and body are receptive to expanding your own state of consciousness, your thought patterns, on anything, anyone, any subject matter or situations. These are the elements that you want to keep in mind so that you may support the practice of achieving a state of openness on your own, a state of equanimity, or as we discuss in the podcast episodes, that connection and tapping into your infinite higher human consciousness. Because your left-right brain, your entirety is on a plane of sense of safety. It is through practice that habits become a part of our daily routine. And our lovely neural networks are all about quote-unquote wiring. So when you're coming to watch any of these videos, you're not only getting to clear charged emotional and mental patterns around something specific, but you're bringing that routine into your day-to-day. The universal love energy that I channel through me into you is to help make this practice more easygoing, full of loving support that I love to share, and that added relaxed state of the mind, heart, and body. It is always to help that receptivity, and love helps us to be receptive to just our thoughts again, making it easier to think things through and to navigate the neutrality spectrum versus narratives and storylines that keep you in a duality and or battle format. So with no further ado, however that lovely expression goes, I want you now, as that body and heart and mind are relaxed, to look at the lovely Shaman's Dream Oracle card you see in front of you. It is meant to help you focus on today's topic, which is again making amends. So as you see, it's called repairing the veil, forgiveness. And please, you guys, remember, everything and everyone that surrounds us has an impact in our lives. Your support system is of the utmost importance to your expansion potential, the inner growth consciousness expansion. Abundance grows where energy flows. And if you are using your energy to explain yourself to people, you are taking away from time you could be spending on the things you love to think about, expand on, pursue. Make sure you have people that you can talk to that bring out more in you, the expanded version of you, which is always in a state of bliss and lightness. This is how you know. So when this happens, and you're unconditionally loved with your vices and virtues, and you can speak openly and safely, those are your inner growth peeps. Those are your 5D peeps, the functional adult ones, the ones who will allow you to expand your consciousness because they're open to more, not closed in duality, labels, and other aspects that, as we discussed in yesterday's, the session 2 transmission, anybody who might not know yet, because today's today, but yesterday might not be yesterday. So the session 2, guys, what I'm trying to get at, the masks one, where we talk about the authentic self. Labels keep you confined. They don't allow you to be open to all. So keep in mind, as you talk to people, you'll feel that if you're limited. And those aren't the people that help your expansion because you're limited. Lightness, unconditional love, excitement, bliss. The individuals who help you feel good with who you are and all the imperfections, because we all have them. And as those who regularly tune in know, with the psych education that I've been taking thanks to the nicabm.com, it's the website, but the company is NICABM, the acronym. Thanks to the classes that helped me to learn about our nervous system, our brain, and how trauma affects us, I'm aware of how many people have situations that take place emotionally and mentally with not fitting in, and the body element is always connected. So again, reference the card as we continue our exercise, our lovely inner growth mindset exercise, and let me read to you a little bit of what the Oracle Guidebook has to say. Repairing the veil, forgiveness, making amends, recognition of our unity. That reminds me, for the regular listeners, there will be an episode at a future date, or various episodes, since you guys know I've been doing the topics differently, that will share with you in-depth notions, and I'll review some of them potentially here, on oneness, unity consciousness, avatar consciousness, this 5D state of consciousness, which again is equal to a functional adult, a person who's able to be in their ventral vagal state, so at ease with your body, to be able to converse with people about anything without getting in an emotional upset. Where we get to learn how to self-regulate as we pursue the inner growth mindset as well, because you're paying attention to your emotions and your thoughts and bringing that harmony first. That's the self, the ego. It is a wiring. Again, it's not fixed, as neuroplasticity is showing, once you practice nuance, equanimity. So you're practicing the neutrality, and you're just allowing yourself to tend to the emotions and the thoughts and disengage from narratives. This is the habit that you choose. People choose based on their preference, but there's also the part of the surrounding. That's why, again, in many of the episodes, I have a script that I will be rereading to remind you of these important components, just FYI. Now, back to the booklet. Oneness is what I was getting at, recognition of our unity. So we are one globe, one people, but for those who are also in that spirituality community, oneness, you're one people in energetic form, which some use the word soul, spirits, but it can be broken down to that lovely energy. Holographic principle is one of those theories that comes to mind, and that is being researched and expanded on. I don't have an in-depth notion of it just yet, but moving on with the repairing the veil. Between us, all is a thin veil appearing to be a space that separates us. We look through this veil and believe ourselves to be distinct from each other. We assume that our thoughts and feelings are our own. We see bodies and objects and the spaces between them. So we engage the world in relationships between a duality of quote-unquote us and quote-unquote them. This veil serves as a mysterious illusion, making it so hard to believe in our inherent connection and unity. We cannot always remember that what we do to someone else, we at the same time do to ourselves. When we claw at the veil out of fear, anger, jealousy, or resentment, manipulate another, misuse our power, or allow someone's actions to diminish us, we create a wound felt by many, not just those of us in the smaller, direct relationship. Oh, and you guys will also be learning the difference about quantum and Newtonian relationships. I forget the title of the episode, but it's not out yet. Of that, I know for sure. We're still on is ignorance bliss, or is it? There's another 4 episodes that are still at the recording of today when I'm recording this specific transmission, is what I'm trying to get at. Now is the time to examine where your actions have caused difficulty or harm to someone else, and also where you have been the recipient of harm. Regardless of what side you are on, it is important to take responsibility for healing this rift by bringing love, compassion, deep listening, and presence to whatever is not in harmony. Do this for you and for your own liberty, as you become an unwitting hostage once you take the role of perpetrator or victim, both positions of weakness. Let go of all your resentments, know your part in the dynamic, and make the appropriate amends with that newfound wisdom and understanding. Healing, forgiveness, and mending what is broken in your world is a sweet, much-needed declaration of freedom. And this one was beautiful to read, as is, which leads us to take a closer look at how we do hurt each other, not only from the spirituality perspective, because we are connected, but also humanly with the psychological, sociological perspectives. When the doctors, the psychologists, psychiatrists that are teaching me about the lovely ego self that we have, talked about fitting in or shadow side, there's a tendency for them to share how most, if not all, probably actually it's all, meaning they each talk about their own client experience. So obviously nobody's going to make a blanket statement and say all humanity, but they'll say, our mammalian heritage as human beings, we have an attachment defensive state. They have a function that has been with us for a long, long time. Your body's your first intelligence. We don't get taught of it as intelligent until it's presented. And now, thanks to the technology, we know. So our ego self, it is felt in the heart for reasons that connect to our mammalian heritage. And the Heartbreak, if you remember the episodes where I've been sharing that infographic, that the kneecap.com, they're the ones who share it. The monkey part of the brain, the mammalian part, if I'm not mistaken is the word, I forget right now, but that's the part that brings about that heartbreak. So heartbreak, which happens when we have friendships, relationships, situations that aren't mended, right? So that are broken, that make us sad or angry or any of those emotions. That's where it's that attachment and defensive. Sometimes it can be both together. This is where vulnerability comes into the mix, and how the psychiatrists say most people feel they don't fit in. When it comes to the shadow side, most people think something and a person won't accept them. Everybody has this feeling, which is connected again to our nervous system, and we can also connect to the map of consciousness, the one by Dr. David Hawkins from the Power versus Force book, Shame. Shame is a physiological posture that our nervous system, our body takes when we get yelled at, as described again by the lovely psychiatrists who are telling and sharing on how a nervous system has a defense mode that it chooses. So we have a default network of how we defend ourselves, and these translate into emotions. Again, when we hurt each other, there's a vibration that actually does take place besides what you've been taught. And people, up till recently, were only talking about treatment with each other from a conceptualized state. We get to talk about all these concepts with the body, heart, and mind, because we're also body. And thanks to the psych education, I get to break certain things down to you and help you relate to that heartbreak in a way that allows you to know shame, guilt, fear. These are part of your mammalian heritage, and they are linked to our actual survival. If you want to further your education on your own, again, nicabm.com. They're really great. All of them, all the courses that I've taken so far are really great, and they have so much to share on helping you to understand how the body works to defend you. Our emotions defend us. Being vulnerable is a part of our human experience, and it is about trusting each other. Now, one other note, lack of predictability our nervous system doesn't like. And people like to use just cliche sentences. Oh, people don't like change. It's not that people don't like change. Your body is defending you against anything that is different than what it is used to, because that's its intelligence. Now, if you pay attention, most people, they just use narratives, cliche sentences, and then they push themselves in a way to do things which achieve success, but they don't actually allow themselves to work with the body, heart, and mind and expand completely that choice. So taking responsibility. This was something that in the booklet they're talking about. And here, when a person and or people in general, there's a fight, a discussion, making amends can involve each other, but sometimes it doesn't. But what will make the biggest difference is taking ownership. Because the self of you, the conscious of you, your heart always knows what's taken place and what's not. I remember I was 20-ish or maybe 18-ish, I forget now. But I was a smoker. I only quit due to circumstances. And it was a boy I was dating, and he bet me that I couldn't not smoke for a month, and I bet him that I could, and I did. And I remember somebody had said, you could smoke behind his back. He would know nothing of it. And I said, what would I do that for? I would know. My conscience wouldn't be clear. I would be cheating. And with what courage would I say, oh, I didn't. Plus, I don't have to. I can make it to a month, which I did. And then I started smoking again because I love my tobacco, actually. At this point in my life's journey, it's just the smartest thing to do to stay out of not smoking. But my point is, we always know where we've done 200% or not. And people don't think that that has an impact on their being, while it really does. Because when you are, at the very least, making peace with yourself of actions and or situations. So here, if I wanted to, let's say, break the pact, I could have done something that would help me make amends with my choice, and that would be taking responsibility. It's not about creating an excuse. It's about being okay with what you've done. Here's the trick. Usually, if it's involving others, and so there's any hiding, if you will, that's the part that is a issue, because it stays in a charged state. It's not clear. It's not I'm thinking of an Italian word right now. It's not like the mirror. So the reflection isn't pure, if you will. There's other stuff with it. Perfect example would be whenever we have type of conversation that gets heated. Two sides may think that only one is doing and the other is not, but really both are charged at each other. We're always connected. We're always able to take responsibility and disengage from pointing a finger. And this is where the functional adult comes into play, and the unconditionally loving 5D self-empowered enlightened person. How far you go depends on you. So when it comes to making amends, and thinking of situations that you're dealing with, I'd like you to obviously focus on something, person, situation, event that is really important as we keep moving forward with this transmission session, so that we can clear any emotional and or mental patterns that are charged. The part about responsibility, it's not about shaming yourself or blaming yourself. Again, that mammalian heritage, we actually all want to be of service and kind to each other. This is the part of why lying to yourself or hiding, if there's anything you hold against yourself, is not going to help you. Same thing with the other. It's about being 100% vulnerable, which with your own self, in your mind, you can. This is also why your support system is important. Again, the same psychiatrist I learned from have made these statements. I think it was Dr. Bezel van der Kolk that said the ability to be neutral is very important, because when that patient comes into the room, they can tell. We have a body. Again, our bodies speak to each other. They can tell if you're judging them. And if they don't feel at ease to tell you the worst thing they've ever done, they're not going to have the growth that they could, because they're not able to trust. Trust is a feeling that you can be aware of. Now, again, right here is where people take in narratives. Oh, that person lied to me, so I can't trust them. I'm talking about the first layer of trust. Does your body feel safe? Does your body feel that it's able to share everything? And people will find that there are certain moments where they can, certain moments where they can't. That's you perceiving another person's opinions. I tell this to my mother all the time, that when she has an opinion, I can perceive it. The body speaks because our nervous system is engaged. And those societal labels are also part of your knowledge bank. So this is about you expanding who you are, but getting to the true, authentic self. This is what you're initiating as you tend to the emotional charged states while you're contemplating into something that's happening. With neutrality, the equanimity is very important. The nuance, very important. You being able to sit in that, the other word, transcendent function. So left, right brain hemispheres. You being able to know emotions are part of my body, heart, my human experience. I don't need to use this narrative of, oh my gosh, humanity again. That doesn't help you, especially not to make amends. Now, sometimes you'll be able to make amends with the people. There will be times that you won't, because on the other end, they don't want to make amends. And in all cases, you can work with your charged emotions and mental patterns, which is what we're here to do. And so as you think of the situation that you'd like to bring more peace to, inner harmony to, and inner growth, allow yourself to first take that responsibility. So take a look at actions that you feel you could have done something different or not. And I want you to pay attention to the emotion that your body's feeling, and that you're feeling towards yourself, but as well as whether it be a situation, person, or thing, because it's a two thing you're doing right now. It's with you, but also whatever it is that has not been brought to full circle emotionally and mentally, okay? So where in the body are you feeling, obviously, the responsibility or the guilt or the feeling? And how can you allow yourself to understand versus blame you? So now going from that child to your own grown-up, that's why that functional adult. How can you explain to yourself what brought you to do what you did, and or to feel in this format or way? Because if it's a situation, maybe it's a feeling. For example, you didn't get that one job that you thought you should get. Perfect life example. Way back when, I had applied for a job in Rosetta Stone as a mother tongue English speaker, which I am, but I'm bilingual. Those who can regularly listen know this. I did not get the job, and I still remember when I didn't get the job, and I'm like, what the heck, man? So for me, it was an anomaly because I'm a mother tongue, and my initial feeling was mixed in that I know I'm worthy for it. I have the skills, the capabilities, and yet life is presenting to me that I'm being rejected. Now, here's that part. Every one of us has a different level of self-empowerment, and anybody who doesn't know me, the regular listeners do know that I've always been much of a self-empowered individual. I won't go on that tangent of stories here. That's for the podcast. You guys get a load of the stories. So anybody who wants to hear more, go there. But the mixed feelings is where I was at. And the next thought for me was, obviously, there's a reason, and I will find out why. And the first reason is this is not meant to be a part of my journey. So self-empowerment involves also you acknowledging trust in yourself. Being vulnerable is something that a person who is self-empowered can do because you trust in you. And everybody outside of you, including life, is a plus. Nothing can take away, no one. So that mammalian heritage, personally, I've navigated it always in that neutrality space because the only true life threat to me is and was if somebody was chasing me or something physical was happening. The emotions have always been tended to with the unconditional love and neutrality that I hold and that we all hold for ourselves, which differs from what the psychologists express when they are talking about people's defense mechanisms. And that's why I'm creating a bit of two examples here, because maybe some of you tuning in and watching feel more obligated to those societal norms that are presented to you. And that means you feel more weighed down. So it's, for example, if you haven't met the expectations of being a father or mother, it weighs you down more. That weight, take that and lift it. Because the concept of what a mother is or father is, there are, yes, these rule books, these labels, but you're you. You coexist with society, but you are your own version of a mother, father, brother, sister. This is self-empowerment, lifting the feeling of guilt or shame according to the external. Now here's where people stay in narratives, which I'm looking, let's switch to the mind, and really as you're allowing your heart to be neutral, allow your mind, notice your thought patterns and these narratives, good guy, bad guy, me versus them. Let's move beyond that, because that's what keeps you in a defense mechanism from your body, in a lack of openness. It doesn't mean you have to trust in anything or not, but the body, you want to get familiar in being in your ventral vagal state as you're contemplating conceptualized concepts that have a very huge impact in your life. So in this case, the rule book of being mother, father, brother, sister, yada yada. Okay? Bringing neutrality to your own body and saying it's okay to be my version versus humanity. Society is confining me to stay in this societal rule book. There's 7 billion people on the planet. We coexist. If we talk to 10 different people, we'll get a different interpretation of what it means to be a perfect brother, mother, father, sister. The self-empowered 5D person is the person who's looking to move beyond that from within you, which is why you become a transformational leader for yourself and potentially for others, depending on your career journey and path. This ability is all within you. So feeling if there's more of a weight when it comes to societal norms, as the psychologists have expressed in the recent Fitting In series, most of the Western world is based on achievement-based worth. There is not true self-worth. So what I'm helping you to walk through in this moment as well, besides making amends and the entire feeling of neutrality so that you can feel, one, more at ease, uncharge that emotional state for the situation you're experiencing, and also expand the way you're evaluating for yourself. That will lead you to know what actions you want to take. We'll get there in a minute. But the part about the true self-worth, it's about knowing that whether you comply to the external's rule book or not, to feel in your heart of hearts that the right to exist is yours. I mean, really, you exist. It's not even about a right. To have that sigh of relief, the day you can have a sigh of relief in being all of you, not meeting expectation, but not in a battleground with society and societal culture, because that is what gets us to do things in the day-to-day. It exists for reasons that can go beyond the good guy, bad guy narrative, which only exists because we didn't have technology that could give us insights into the nervous system and spell out to people how humanity is not evil Knievel, but there's an ego self that has a specific development. Our body is an intelligence that holds our trauma. Anything that is emotionally overwhelming for the brain will be saved in our body as trauma, something that we can't process. And I'm not going to use too much more of that because I don't want to lose us from our ability to work on your specific situation. So back to what you're dealing with, taking responsibility and being neutral towards your own self, the ego view. Understand right now, as we're continuing to focus on this lovely repairing the veil forgiveness card, how do you feel you can be at peace with the things you've done? What can you uncover about the child of you? We have habits, the reaction. Maybe you hold against yourself a reaction, okay? Allow yourself to forgive that. Allow yourself to know, okay, if I want to bring a new way, and think of what new way. Put in what new way you want to react and really not react the next time something happens. Whatever it is that you feel you could have done differently, make a conscious choice of at least 2 or 3 different ways you can do it different. And working with the emotion is very important. If you can forgive yourself and then commit, I'll do this. This is okay with me. You're committing to being who you want to be, how you want to be. Now let's move to the other side, whether it be life, a person, and whoever it is on the other end, or whatever it is, right? And their position. I want you to allow yourself to see, obviously, the emotions. And again, pay attention to the body. The emotions that come up, usually it'll involve, I didn't deserve it, or they did this in this way, or this situation should have gone X, Y, and Z way. There's expectations. Now, unconditionally loving oneself and people is a choice. And this is where, again, the regular listeners know enlightenment is a choice. We are connected to each other in many different ways, and for everybody in a different subject matter. So again, some just humanly speaking, others spiritually. Either way, the charged state doesn't support your expansion. So you being upset at humanity and or people and or life doesn't help you to be in your higher potential. It's confining your body to a specific feeling that goes below neutrality. In that map of consciousness, neutrality is what enables you to be in flow state. The inner growth mindset helps you to deal with uncertainty, unwanted, unexpected events from within, getting to know your within, and then going with the flow. Whose flow? Your flow. Your heart. It's the ego self of you. It's you at peace with the mammalian heritage we have and being able to consistently be, again, in equanimity in any moment and inner harmony when you're dealing with life. Practice is what allows your mind and body and you to make these constant choices and live this experience. It's not the outside that changes, nor do you change. You simply learn to be a functional adult and in that ventral vagal state. Some of us like to call it 5D state of consciousness and beyond, unity consciousness, avatar consciousness, oneness. But it's you being able to bring mind and heart to harmony in any given moment on something that is important to you. So with the individual situation, allow yourself to notice the emotions. Give room for all. Don't judge yourself or the emotion. Notice if there's a bit more of anger, resentment, that unfair feeling. That's that ego self. It's not a bad thing. You have a right to be here. You are here. You went through that. That's why it's a child part of us, which goes from being in a child emotional state to that functional adult. It's not by reprimanding you or saying, I don't want to feel anything or I don't care. You can be vulnerable within your own body. Bringing peace is your choice. And it is about acknowledging, I feel this is very unfair. I really don't like it. And then understanding, how does this charged state help? Does it help you? Does it help change? Does it help you make amends with anything, anyone? What can you do to bring peace? How can you understand the other perspective? And here I'll use an example. There was something that had taken place. It was professional way back when. And I remember I initially reacted in a way that was defensive. So I took responsibility, but it was only after. At first, I was pointing the finger on how the other end should have done X, Y, and Z, B, C, and F. As time passed, because our mind, once it's out of anger, is when it's effective, I was like, hold on a minute. Maybe it's my perspective that really, with the expectation, I got kind of, slapped in the face. And essentially, it doesn't mean this. And as time passed, I realized that it was my defense mechanism. It was me being protective of something, and it was unnecessary. There was no pointing of fingers. There was simply making amends, emotionally and mentally speaking, about that moment, and choosing, for example, next time I will remember this and stay calm instead of feeling immediately charged. We choose with every experience in our life what we want to do the next time it takes place when you're pursuing this inner growth mindset lifestyle approach, because you're actually taking that ego self responsibility, not by shaming you or guilting you. So you are allowing what is a part of your societal culture to be there, and you are choosing to be the, if you want to say it, bigger person. But even that, don't stay in a competitive mindset with humanity, because that will lead you to limit your expansion. Everybody has feelings, and every one of us thinks we're on the quote-unquote right end. If you can bring that to neutrality and allow yourself simply to focus on who you want to be, that's where you're going to get the most benefit from all of the inner growth mindset stuff, as well as just life in general, and really access this amazing oneness consciousness, which is fabulous for those who have, again, been regularly tuning in and are part of that journey. Once you can allow yourself to try to see the other side completely, and that requires a minute of, again, calmness. Once you get to make peace with the anger, resentment, and the unfairness is when you'll have this visibility in your thought patterns, okay? So as long as you're still in any way, shape, or form feeling you deserve more, like something is unbalanced in your emotional body state, stay with the emotion, navigate your upset, bring everything to light. And if you get emotional at any point, as we have been doing this, I should have said it before, pause and come back. Now for the situation that you would like to bring amends to, once you have been able to see all sides and you are in a state of knowing you truly want, to repair this veil between you and another and or others, or a situation that's from the past, present, future, an event that really impacts you, I want you to allow yourself to sit for just a couple seconds as I'm talking to you in a state of unconditional love and compassion. Here's where you might get emotional, because you bring both sides and the acceptance of what is. Obviously, there's something not broken, but it's not amended quite yet, right? Allow yourself to visualize with unconditional love, you, the person, situation, and give it a big hug. And when I say visualize, I'm serious. Whether you want to see yourself as you or, an energetic format of you, but visualize a hug. And if you want, hug yourself. The psychologists say this is very helpful to begin feeling compassion. And if you get emotional, it's all love. It's all love. It's all love. Now think of 3 ways you can try to take action to make amends. If it's with a person, with the person. If it's with the situation, I'm not being specific because I can't. Only you know what actions can be taken. Sometimes, for example, for situations, it can be writing out the experience, and you then, burn the piece of paper, even though for those of us who love the environment, maybe better to light a candle, or I don't know if that one's okay, but really anything that helps, saying it out loud, and then maybe even a prayer for those who pray, actions like that. I do find journaling is nice, and I have done the burning of the paper sometimes. But I feel that even saying it out loud and closing with a prayer is helpful. So decide on a couple of things that you'll do, and if it's with people and they're open to talking, then that's a great route. In fact, that's the most amazing route when you find that, because people can always achieve a state of harmony. It doesn't mean things go back to what they were, because some friendships, they transform. But being able to have that closure is what repairing, if you will, the veil and making amends is all about. It's not about things having the look that you want or don't want. It's really about the actions of bringing your emotional, mental state to ease, to harmony, and to a state of peace and acceptance. And once you've done that, the hugging, compassion, allow yourself to remember just how much all these experiences allow you to grow and how life is. Yes, there's the unknown, that lack of predictability that our nervous system doesn't like. Don't judge it. Don't shame the emotion of vulnerability. Don't shame the emotion of if you have situations with trust. Don't shame the emotion of if you have a challenge speaking up. Right now, I want you to recognize if any of these are coming up in your throat, in your heart, give you another hug. Our mammalian heritage is not only about one thing or 2 things. It's an actual practice every day. You can empower the self, but it is through your first unconditional love towards self, compassion. And so right now, whatever is challenging, help yourself to know it's okay. That hug is what we would get as infants, which is what gives and activates our ventral vagal state, our parasympathetic nervous system. It makes us feel safe. Right now, when you get emotional, if you don't feel safe in your own body, as Dr. Bessel van der Kolk points out, not safe in our body, not safe in our mind. That's what makes it challenging for people to think about things and make decisions. So please give yourself a hug. And for what we have been doing, just allow yourself to find first peace with your emotions, with the vulnerability. And then as you achieve the state of ease, you'll be able to take those steps that you'll be proud of and happy of and feel that express you. Because guess what? Once you're okay with feeling upset about whatever situation has happened between people particularly, but even with life, once you've made peace, so you've forgiven the event, situation, that's when you can speak from the heart. Your true, authentic self is from the heart as a functional adult. The child is going to be in a hyper-aroused or hypo-aroused. You're going to be emotional, scared. That's what gets us to speak to each other in ways that is not necessarily our best and ideal, because our brains actually, alongside that anger and anxiety, has a way that it starts acting. So bring peace first to you and take as much time as you need, knowing that the minute you feel at ease with being vulnerable, so that means being hurt and or scared and or angry and or upset at whatever has taken place, it's when you're owning that with love in your heart that you'll be able to speak the most truest of words and to be able and make true amends, even on your own, by the way. So you don't need the people, because sometimes people don't want to talk things out. All you need is the presence and the intent, and the true intent is from your heart. And the mind accompanies it because it's explorative. So hopefully this session will help you to make amends with all those amazing people and events that have taken place and that will continue to take place in your life. Keep on tuning in. I have now disconnected from you, and I'd like you to take a minute to ground in your thoughts and the emotions from this session. Write down anything important if you feel the need, and smile. Smile is always good. They're always good. Remember, your power in life lies within you. Your mindset is what gets you to experience life and take actions. Make sure it matches your heart, which you will know immediately, and as time passes, you will have confirmation, because when you look back at the actions you take and or took, your heart, mind, and body all smile together with unconditional love, compassion, ease, joy, gratitude, full ownership, full enrichment. Only you truly know what you want more of in your life and where you want to go, who with, what with, all of that. The right path always feels exciting and calls to you in a way that is blissful and enriching and expansive. You will always recognize it because the feelings are just uncomparable. Thank you for joining, and see you in the next one.